Hey guys, it's Bree and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, because it's officially October, which means it is one of the best months of the year because of Halloween, I decided that I wanted to talk about some of the different manga that I've been reading for the Halloween season. You'll also notice that today I'm in costume, which is kind of funny because my original concept for this channel was to kind of review things while in cosplay. I just really haven't gotten around to doing the things that I actually have cosplays for, so hopefully in the future, maybe I'll be cosplaying in some of my videos, maybe I won't be. We'll see. Regardless, I thought for a Halloween video it would be fun to dress up and just get into costume, to get into the mood. So the different manga that I picked out today is going to go beyond just horror manga because I wanted to include a few different manga from some different demographics. Not to say that there isn't a lot of horror on this list, I just wanted to kind of branch out because I've seen a few other people do this video concept before, but they seem to stay within this tight little bubble, and I just wanted to show that really there is a Halloween manga out there for anyone. So let's just jump right into it. So the first manga I want to talk about is a Junji Ito manga. Now the reason why I included this is because I feel like you can't really have a horror manga list without Junji Ito at least being mentioned. He is one of the most well-known horror mangaka in the West, as well as probably the most extensively published. At this point, he has had so many different anthologies published in English of his different short stories, and also there's a lot more coming along the way. So I'm very excited about that. I really like Junji Ito, I like his different short stories, but the manga that I picked to talk about today is one of his one-shot volumes, which is Dissolving Classroom. Now, the reason why I picked this manga is because I haven't seen a ton of people talk about it, just because a lot of people have been focusing on his newer anthology works, such as Venus in the Blind Spot, or even Smashed I've seen more of. But the thing that I really like about Dissolving Classroom is you get to see Junji Ito kind of branch out and do a longer story that is just contained in one volume. Of course there's Uzumaki, which is a 3-volume series, I think. But I really like Dissolving Classroom just because of the characters. I find that Junji Ito's horror is a little bit, it's kind of scary sometimes, but it's mostly like weird out horror. In fact, sometimes it's funnier than scarier. That is definitely the case with Dissolving Classroom. It is a very fun read. Not necessarily the scariest, but I really like the pair of siblings that this story follows, especially the younger sister. She's just the best. She's so goblin-y and scary and wonderful. I highly recommend checking out this manga if you haven't already. It is just so good. As for Junji Ito's short stories, I do really like the Fragments of Horror anthology volume. That one's very good. It's just in storage right now, otherwise I would pull it out. My actual favorite short story by him isn't currently published in English, which makes me really sad. And every time that a new anthology is coming out, I always check the list to see which stories are included, and it's never there. Come on, put the thing that drifted ashore on the list. I just want to own it in English. It is so good. Continuing along with the horror manga, the next manga that I want to talk about is Ibitsu by Haruto, Ryou. Ibitsu is a manga that I actually picked up this month to read because I had heard a lot of good things about it. I was also very interested in it because it is quite a thick one-shot volume, and I just thought it would be fun to read. This volume features a horror story based around a urban legend about a gothic Lolita girl who, she's one of those urban legends where you find her on the street and she asks you a question, and depending on how you answer it will be how the whole situation is resolved. Of course, it's one of those tricks too where you don't really know if there's a right way to answer her. I enjoyed this volume. It was definitely more of a slasher horror. There was a lot of gore in this volume. There was maybe 1 or 2 scenes that made me wince. It was like, ugh, that would be painful. If you are a big fan of something like Corpse Blood Party, you would probably really enjoy Ibitsu. This is more of a traditional modern horror. Of course, also this volume has a parental warning. It does have some nudity as well as just general gore. I guess I would watch out for that, but honestly I didn't find that this volume was so bad. So I think that really anyone could read this as long as they like that sort of thing. So on to the next manga that I picked out for this video. It is an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, and this is adapted by Tanabe. Now, I had recently read, I think in August, The Hound and Other Stories, which is a H.P. Lovecraft short story anthology adapted by Tanabe, and then shortly after that, I picked up At the Mountains of Madness. I'm sort of becoming a fan of H.P. Lovecraft's eldritch horror works. It is definitely very interesting. I like aliens, and that's kind of like the basis behind eldritch horror, is this kind of cosmic horror that exists that H.P. Lovecraft writes about. And At the Mountains of Madness is definitely this eldritch cosmic horror. These adaptations volume, these 2 volumes are so gorgeous. The art in here is just amazing. I have definitely not seen enough people talking about this. The art style just perfectly suits the story. It makes it so wonderfully creepy and beautiful. I find it really funny because one of the characters that Tanabe draws looks a little bit like Benedict Cumberbatch, so I can't unsee that from this volume. So whenever I see that character, I'm like, ah yes, he would be played by Benedict Cumberbatch if this was a movie adaptation. Oh, and the landscapes in this manga are just so amazing. You'll get so many like double page spreads that are just gorgeous, and the slightly realistic style definitely suits the story and brings so much of it to life. If anything, if I think I was going to reread this manga, I would probably listen to music while doing so, because I think it would add so much to the atmosphere. And there's a lot of like eldritch horror playlists on YouTube that you can listen to. I totally recommend checking those out if you have any interest in H.P. Lovecraft, or if you just want to read some more traditional horror, definitely check it out. Moving on to the next manga that I want to talk about, it is Toilet Bound Hanako-Kun. This manga is not really a horror manga, but I feel like it really suits Halloween because it is about like school urban legends / horror stories, and it features a ghost boy, Hanako-Kun, and just kind of resolving all of the different school mysteries. The next volume in Toilet Bound Hanako-Kun actually comes out in October, so it is kind of like the perfect time to start reading the series. I know a lot of people have already picked it up and started reading it, but for people out there who want to read a kind of spooky themed story without it necessarily being a horror story, this one is really good. The next manga that I want to talk about is Phantom Tales of the Night by Matsuri. This manga, I just picked it up actually quite recently, and I have fallen in love with it. It is so wonderful. It is wonderfully spooky without it directly being a horror story. It features a innkeeper who specifically trades being able to stay at his inn for secrets, and it is so good. He is so mysterious, and it revolves around other characters who encounter him and have to stay at the inn or just pass by the inn, and it's just so interesting. I am definitely picking up more volumes of this series, and just the art is so beautiful. I loved every moment, every short story within this volume. It is the perfect thing to read during Halloween season. The last physical manga that I put on this list is less so of a Halloween manga. Like, this is a little bit of a stretch, but I really wanted to include more of a shoujo manga. And the one that I picked out that I read recently is Kakuriyo, Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. The reason why I picked this one is because it is a yokai manga that features a main character who is basically spirited away to this other world with a ton of yokai, and she has to work at this inn. And it is so good, so enjoyable. You get to meet a few different yokai in this first volume. I've only read the first volume, but I am definitely looking forward to picking up more volumes in this series. And I feel like, I don't know, the vibe from this is kind of autumny. I love all yokai manga that I've read so far. If you have any yokai manga as a recommendation to me, please leave it in the comments. I will probably read it, especially yokai shoujo manga. That is probably my favorite. And yeah, if you're a big fan of shoujo and you want to read something a little bit more seasonal to the Halloween season, maybe check out Kakuriyo. So that is all of the manga that I really wanted to talk about. There is, of course, going on right now is Kodansha's Humble Bundle, which is where you can buy a whole bunch of digital manga for really cheap. If you read digital manga, I totally recommend checking out this Humble Bundle. You can get like all 10 volumes of Happiness, a ton of volumes of Sankaria. I can't even remember. There is so much in that list. I just picked up all of it. I was like, you know what? $25, a ton of volumes of manga. I'm in. I read a lot of digital manga. I personally like it. I used to read all the time on my computer, so I do not mind just having PDFs. If you have an iPad, it's even better because it comes in Kindle format too. So I definitely recommend checking that out, especially since right now it is all Halloween, spooky, horror themed manga that's in that Humble Bundle. Some other, I guess, honorable mentions for Halloween manga that you could check out this season. Now, to me, I think the most Halloween manga there is out there is actually Soul Eater, because all of the characters are kind of based after classical Halloween monsters. Like, you have like Frankenstein characters, a Medusa character, you have like, they always fight witches, you have a pumpkin cat witch. Like, it is so Halloween. Honestly, to me, it is not Halloween until I have watched the This Is Halloween Soul Eater AMV on YouTube. For some reason that has become like a annual tradition that on Halloween night I will probably watch that AMV just because it just suits the mood so right. Another manga that you could probably check out that is very Halloween themed is Sugar Sugar Rune. Now, this manga is wildly out of print and very hard to find, but if you can find a copy, I think it is such a wonderful Halloween manga. It features two girls who are witches who have to steal the hearts of boys. It is just a very cute shoujo manga. There is also an anime that is very good that you can check out. And yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed this list of different Halloween themed manga, and hopefully you got to see some manga that you might not have thought about for the Halloween season. Let me know in the comments what you are going to be reading for Halloween. I am always looking for new recommendations, so just let me know. And that is it for this video. I hope that you have a fantastic Halloween this year, even though there probably won't be a whole bunch of Halloween parties due to circumstances. But regardless, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!